Hey everybody, JokerFed back with another video. I know it's been a while, but I thought that now would be a good time to throw in my 2 cents on some recent DC Comics releases. So I think I'll just call this video the DC Comics video. So pretty much the three things that I want to talk about in this video are, of course, the newly released film Suicide Squad, um, the recently released first episode of the Telltale Batman series, and finally, Batman the Killing Joke, the animated film. So, to start things off, Suicide Squad. I just got back from seeing it a couple hours ago, and I would say that it's a good movie. It's a solid good movie in my opinion. I know that a lot of people don't share that opinion. A lot of people have been really adamantly dogging this movie. But I will say this: out of the three now DC extended universe films that we have, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and this, I think that this is the best of the three. In my opinion, that's not saying a whole lot. I was not a big fan of Man of Steel, and if you watch the most recent video I did before this was my video on Batman v Superman at the time it was released. Since then, they've done the Ultimate Edition cut. Um, I'm still pretty lukewarm on that film. It's a very I can say that with Batman v Superman, not to rehash, but I had fun with it, but in good conscience, I cannot say it is a good film. Pretty much, mainly, it's just I love like the whole like, oh, it's the DC Trinity on the big screen, that kind of thing. But still, it's not a very well made movie in my opinion. It's a very nice looking movie, but very dour. The characterization of Superman was still way off point in my opinion, and also the teeny weeny problem of Batman being kind of a murderer, which they've actually kind of improved in this. Which I okay, so for warning, I this is a spoiler filled video, so like I said, I'm gonna tackle these one at a time. Suicide Squad, Batman Telltale, and The Killing Joke. I will try to put timestamps in the description if I remember, so there will be spoilers for each of these. So yeah, let's talk about Suicide Squad. So, like I said, I had a lot of problems with Batman v Superman regarding just the tone of the film and just how unapologetically mean spirited it is. I mean, I'm not saying that every superhero movie has to be light and happy, but it was a very like just negative film. A lot of misery in it, and I can say that this movie, while not a super cheery film, it definitely feels like an improvement in tone over the previous two DC Cinematic Universe entries. Um, I liked the characters a lot. I think everybody did a great job as their characters in the Suicide Squad, at least. Definitely, my favorite part of the film was Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I think she just nails the characterization of Harley. Just a fun, crazy character that's also definitely very motivated by her love of Joker and just self-preservation. Will Smith did a good job as Deadshot. He was probably one of the people that I was most concerned about going into it. Like, is he just gonna be like Will Smith or something? Yeah, I mean, obviously, but I don't think he like kind of overshadowed anybody else. But I think probably the best performance in the film was Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. She was excellent. Just really badass, intimidating presence. And the scene where she just like executes a few of her underlings just because like, oh, they saw classified stuff that they can't see. Like, she really means business. So definitely, I really like Viola Davis in this film as Amanda Waller. Just a really strong performance. Everybody else did a good job. Probably important to note the Joker, Jared Leto's Joker. Honestly, I didn't see enough of him to really judge and compare him with previous performances of the Joker. I know that like a lot of people are kind of like quick to compare like, okay, is he better than Heath Ledger? How's he stack up against all of the past cinematic Jokers? But he's really not a main character at all in this film. In fact, he's very much a side character, a kind of like, peripheral story. And so I really can't like judge him or compare him. I think that he did. What I will say though about Jared Leto's performance is that he did bring a really creepy factor to the Joker, which I don't think not necessarily Heath Ledger had. I mean, I just thought Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was very scary because you didn't know what he was going to do, but you never got the like you never felt that he was kind of sleazy, and I kind of felt that this Jared Leto's Joker was kind of sleazy. He's definitely like more of a mobster than Heath Ledger's Joker, kind of more in line with Jack Nicholson, but except for more like in the modern sense of a gangster and less like 1930s wearing suits, but more like all tattooed up and like wearing just like outlandish clothing. Um, I will say that like when I first saw the pictures of Jared Leto's Joker, I was very cold on the whole like tattoos and grills thing. I warmed up to it eventually a little bit, but still, I'm still not a huge fan of that look for the Joker. It's not what I think of the Joker. I've never thought of the Joker as being like this tattooed up like thuggish type. But I'm always open to new portrayals of some of my favorite characters, and I think that I'm very interested to see more of this Joker and to see his dynamic with Ben Affleck's Batman in the eventual solo Batman film. So I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't see more of him, but it's understandable. This is a Suicide Squad movie. This isn't a Joker movie. This isn't a Batman movie. This is Suicide Squad. So if anything, Harley is like the main character of this movie. Harley, Deadshot, and Amanda Waller, I would say, are three of the biggest main characters. Also, Rick Flag had his weird relationship thing with Enchantress's possessed alter ego, Dr. June Moon, I think. I can't remember her name exactly. Enchantress has never been a big DC character that I'm been familiar with. But that was it felt a little bit cheesy, like a little bit forced. Like okay, we have to have a romance because to add stakes to the finale. Because I guess it wouldn't be very tense if they could have just sniped Enchantress or something and just killed her and been done with it. But no, Rick Flag loves her, so he can't kill her. So yeah. The plot was very straightforward, I will say. I mean, it's pretty much just obvious kind of betrayal, and then, oh, we gotta send in the Suicide Squad to take out this big glowing thing in the sky, which I know a lot of reviewers have pointed out, like, oh, it's the stereotypical giant portal thing opening up in the sky or whatever, beam of light shooting up. Um, so yeah, I would say it's a solid, good film. It's not a masterpiece, and it's also not garbage. Like I said, it's my favorite of the three DC Extended Universe films. But that being said, I wasn't blown away. I did really enjoy a lot of the character interactions, but that was my favorite part of the film. The plot itself, I did not find super engaging, which is unfortunate. But I'm looking forward to seeing where these characters go next in the DC Extended Universe. Definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn again. Like I said, she was great. Definitely want to see more of Jared Leto's Joker and see what his dynamic is with Batman. I just want to know what the heck happened to Robin. Please tell me what happened to Robin in the next movie that Joker shows up in. Um, and yeah, so also the cameo by the Flash in this film, definitely really like that. That was really cool. Definitely, maybe I'll talk about the trailers at the end of this video, but the trailer for Justice League got me excited for Ezra Miller's Flash, and his cameo in this movie definitely made me even more excited to see him show up in Justice League next year. So yeah, definitely very solid, good film, but not the best and not the worst. And touching on what I mentioned earlier about kind of doing a little bit of course correction for Batman in this film, if you've seen the trailers, then you know that Batman does appear in this movie, albeit in a very small cameo role. But when he does show up, I did really like Ben Affleck's Batman in this. It feels like a bit more like the Batman I know. I know that Chris Stuckman touched upon it in his spoiler talk, but I really like that when Amanda Waller's doing like her like introducing the dossiers of the Suicide Squad to like the uh, big military people. I don't know the proper term, but when they do like the flashback to dead shots with his daughter, and then she says like, "Oh, I didn't bring him in. I just gave the information to the right guy in Gotham." And then Batman kind of he does like it's kind of like a Michael Keaton moment where he like shows up with like his cape like spread out in a bat like symbol in the background, and then he shows up and he says like like Deadshot, I'm bringing you in, but I don't want to do this in front of your daughter. And so that is a nice like small thing that you can do to just show that like okay, this Batman's a bit more thoughtful. So I don't know if that scene was supposed to take place after Batman v Superman or before it. Like how long has Deadshot been in prison? They don't really specify, but if it does happen after Batman v Superman, that would make sense because it shows that Batman's a bit more. He's softened a little bit. He's not quite as much as of an asshole as he was in Batman v Superman. Because if this was the Batman v Superman Batman, then he would have like swooped in and broken like Deadshot's limbs and branded him or something. So it's Ben Affleck is she's showing a character progression for Batman since Batman v Superman. And I really like that. So I just wanted to add that about Ben Affleck's Batman. And now for the Telltale Batman game. I really, really like the Telltale Batman game. I'm just gonna say that up front. I'm not a very big like Telltale guy. I haven't played a lot of their games. I played a little bit of The Wolf Among Us and some of Sam and Max back in the day, but I haven't played The Walking Dead, which I hear is their like masterpiece. What put them on the radar really. But I was very intrigued when they announced last year that Telltale was doing a Batman game because that's a very different kind of game as compared to the Arkham games that we're used to, that which are very much I love those games. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the Batman Arkham games. I think they're my favorite, one of my favorite game series of all time. But they do focus a lot on kind of like the flashier aspects of Batman, I guess. There's hardly any Bruce Wayne in the Arkham games. You may be Bruce Wayne for like 10 seconds in the cutscene in the beginning of the game, and then you're Batman for the rest of it, and heavy emphasis on the hand-to-hand combat and the invisible predator stuff, and then some very basic like detective work. But that's about it in terms of gameplay variety in those games. So Telltale had a chance to do something just completely different with their Batman game, and I think with the first episode they've definitely succeeded in that regard. Right off the bat, you're intercut between the like your first Batman's first encounter with Catwoman when she's like robbing the mayor's office, and you're cutting back to like Bruce Wayne later that night at Wayne Manor getting patched up by Alfred, and Alfred's like why are you doing this, being Alfred pretty much, and just doing like the whole like I worry for you, you're becoming lost in Batman, that kind of stuff. And the combat is it's very simple. It's just like a quick time event, just move the control stick left or something to block. But where this game really succeeds is the narrative, I think. Fantastic stuff as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Just like balancing like how do you deal with Harvey Dent? Harvey Dent is running for mayor. Do you like get all nice and cozy with Carmine Falcone, at least on the surface, to ensure that Harvey is happy and is likely going to get elected, or do you like in public kind of like stand up to Falcone and say no, I'm not affiliating with mobsters. That's like I'd never do that. And then, of course, like the stuff that pops up later on in the story, which again, this is a spoiler video for everything I talk about in here. The maybe revelation that the Waynes, Thomas and Martha Wayne, might have been involved in organized crime. We still don't really know for sure. Obviously, this is only the first episode of 5 or 6 episodes. I can't remember off the top of my head, so I'm sure there's going to be more revelations and twists and turns to come before this game season or series is over. Um, just great writing all throughout. In particular, my favorite scene from this episode is when, as Bruce Wayne, I like that I have to clarify when in the game that you are Bruce Wayne. It was supposed to be Batman. But anyway, as Bruce Wayne, you go to meet Harvey Dent for lunch after the news has broken at the press conference that Thomas and Martha Wayne had like a offshore account with Carmine Falcone, and you're meeting with Harvey, and like after the police have come to Wayne Manor, and you're like, why didn't you know about this? You're getting like a little bit confrontational, but you're just there at lunch with him, and then lo and behold, Selena Kyle shows up, and it turns out that her and Harvey have something going on, and just like the instant recognizing between Bruce and Selena that you have the little cut on your cheek, and she has a bit of a black eye where Batman punched her, and just instant recognizing that, like, oh, so we see each other's true faces. It reminded me a lot of like Batman Returns when at the masquerade ball, like they finally realize that that they're Batman and Catwoman. So great stuff. I think that Telltale have done a great job with this narrative, and I'm very excited to see where it goes next. And also, before I move on to the next topic in this video, one of my favorite aspects about this game is that you can choose what kind of Batman your Batman is. Do you want to be like the really hardcore, just brutalizing criminals like Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns kind of Batman, or Batman v Superman kind of Batman, or do you want to be more of like a not very like light Batman? You can't be like Adam West, but a more like hopeful Batman, a Batman that's a symbol for Gotham, that Gotham can be greater than it is, like more in line with like the animated series or something like that, where it's like Batman smiles every once in a while. I think it's become like a thing that like, oh, you can't have Batman smile, but no, Batman, he can smile and still be the Dark Knight. He can have a little bit of a sense of humor. And I like that. I really, really like playing that kind of Batman. Batman that does crack a smile or have a little bit of a witty repartee with like Alfred in the Batcave and that kind of thing. So I really love that. It's my favorite part about the overall experience of this Telltale Batman game, and I'm really excited to see where it goes next. Now, on to the killing jokes. Or joke. Obviously, everybody knows the graphic novel. It's great. It's amazing. I will get into some comparisons with it, but easily I could say between the three main things in this video, Suicide Squad, Telltale Batman, and this was the most highly anticipated by me personally. And also, it's kind of ended up being the most divisive between fans. I know that a lot of people were really hyped for this animated movie. Dare I say, people were just as, if not more, hyped for The Killing Joke than they were for Suicide Squad. It even got a theatrical release. I didn't actually see this during its like one night Fathom events, at least in the United States, theatrical release. I was just preoccupied at the time. So I got it on Blu-ray the next week. Watched it. And then it might have been a blessing in disguise that I watched this a week after a lot of people already had. Because obviously I got to hear everybody else's opinions before I watched this. So it kind of prepared me for what was coming. And basically, if you don't know already, The Killing Joke, as you can see, this is a very short graphic novel. It's not very long at all. I don't even know how many pages off the top of my head, but maybe like 50 pages or something. Also, in the deluxe edition, you got like a little bit of a bonus story. But anyway, it's a very short graphic novel as compared to The Dark Knight Returns, which DC Animation had previously adapted. So they felt the need to add some supplemental material, if you will, essentially to just create stuff and put it in this movie to kind of stretch out the runtime. I don't know why they did that. Why, like, what creative choice was like, oh, people aren't going to buy this if it's less than an hour and a half long, or it won't validate the cost of manufacturing if it's less than that. I don't know what the reason was, but essentially, and here's my thoughts on this. Very similar to the problem that a lot of people have with the Hobbit films is when you have a source material that is so good, so well loved, that if you try and create stuff and put it next to that, it looks really bad by comparison because it is next to something that is so good as, the original Killing Joke. So the first 30 minutes are essentially I would describe it as kind of like an R-rated episode of Batman the Animated Series. Obviously, you have all the voice talents of that show coming back for this. Even Tara Strong, I believe, as Batgirl. And so the first 30 minutes focus almost exclusively on Batgirl, and it's good animation. It's great voice work. But the story is just, it's a bit weird and doesn't really feel like it deserves to be in here. Like I said, it feels like it could be an episode of a TV show, but you don't want that in The Killing Joke, really. And it's like about this like mobster who has like this weird sexual obsession with Batgirl, and like I think what they're trying to do, and like even Batman says it, is like, it's when they get personal is when it gets bad. And so it's kind of foreshadowing. Obviously, Joker's that for Batman, but this gangster's like that for Batgirl, I guess. And it's supposed to like foreshadow, like, oh, when they get personal, it gets really bad. But it just ends up feeling a bit uncomfortable, really. It's like I said, it's like he's got a Batgirl fetish, and it's like all about like that. It's kind of weird. And then Batgirl and Batman have sex, which some people have taken big issue with. I personally, I don't really like have a big like deal with it. It's not the first time in the history of these characters that's ever been suggested that they've had a relationship. Heck, even in the DC animated universe, which Bruce Timm, he's on the back here somewhere, but Bruce Timm produced this and was also one of the big forces behind the DC animated universe, which included the animated series and Batman Beyond. But more specifically, in Batman Beyond, The Return of the Joker, I believe, Barbara Gordon, who becomes commissioner in that universe, says something like that. They suggests that her and Bruce Wayne had a past. But yeah, so I don't really take issue with that. Like, but it does become like a thing where it's like, oh, because they had sex, like their working relationship is weird. It doesn't really feel like it should be in a Batman movie. I don't know, but like that's the first 30 minutes of this, and so that's what a lot of people have an issue with. But once it actually gets to the Killing Joke stuff, like the stuff that's in here, it's great. I think it's really phenomenal animation and voice acting. I mentioned it briefly before, but I'll spotlight it here. The voice acting is stellar. Obviously, a lot of the hype surrounding this animated movie was the fact that Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy are returning to voice, obviously, two of their most famous roles, Joker and Batman. And so, yeah, I was extremely excited to hear Mark Hamill's Joker speak these words, and it did not disappoint. He did a great job. It's been like well publicized in many things that like Mark Hamill said, like like, oh, I can't really do this Joker voice anymore. It's getting a bit harmful to my throat. But if they ever adapt the Killing Joke, I'll do that in a heartbeat. So, it's been well publicized that, this is the thing that Mark Hamill has wanted to do for a very long time with the Joker. And, of course, if you get Mark Hamill's Joker, then you can't do it without Kevin Conroy's Batman. That's just, they're the two, like, most iconic voices of those characters, and you can't have one really without the other. Um, so yeah, that stuff I think is all great. It adapts the art style also pretty good, as well as they can with animation like this. And I think it's pretty great. It's not perfect. Whenever you adapt something, it never really can be perfect in your as it is in your mind. But overall, it's really great once they actually get to the Killing Joke. But yeah, like some things, they took they did like a little bit different than what I had in my mind when I read the graphic novel. Like some panels where I thought the Joker was kind of like saying like this kind of muted or saying this kind of in a serious voice or a quiet voice, but then they do it in the animation and he's doing his crazy Joker. He's not doing the like quiet Joker. He's delivering it like in his very flamboyant mode. And honestly, I didn't realize there was a musical number in this book until they did the movie. That musical number caught me off guard, really, and I don't know if it really gelled super great with the tone of the rest of the movie, but yeah, there's a musical number in this, pretty much, which honestly doesn't surprise me because if you played the Arkham games, then you know that it's kind of becoming a recurring thing that whenever Mark Hamill does Joker, he has like a song that he sings, like in the end credits or something. So it makes sense that he has one here in The Killing Joke, which may be his final time portraying the Joker, doing the voice of the Joker. Um, so yeah, if this is his final time doing the voice of the Joker, it's a heck of a way to send off. Like I said, once they get to the Killing Joke, I think it's stellar. But it's just that first 30 minutes. I said 30. That first 30 minutes. That's just doesn't it. Like I said, it's the problem with if it were by itself. If they released this as like if they released the first 30 minutes as like a standalone thing, or if this was like a dual pack that had the Killing Joke and this short Batgirl adventure, then I think that would have been fine. But the fact that they like put it together and say like, oh no, this is how the movie starts, and even like they get really on the nose with Barbara Gordon. Even the opening narration, she's like, oh, this isn't how you were expecting this to start. Like, okay, you're getting a bit cheeky with it. So yeah, it's just that problem of just having it side next to something so great that it just looks terrible in comparison. So yeah, but besides that, stellar. Finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is it's kind of old news now. I mean, it came out during Comic-Con, but since I'm on a DC Comics roll here, I may as well talk about the Wonder Woman and Justice League trailers. Like I said, they're kind of old now. I mean, as old as something can be when it's released just a few weeks ago, but in the internet age, people get over things rather quickly. But yeah, at Comic Con, we got our first looks at the Wonder Woman and Justice League films. I actually saw the Wonder Woman trailer played before Suicide Squad today. Um, and yeah, overall, I'm excited for these films. It's unfortunate that so far the DC extended universe has been kind of lukewarm, I guess you could say. Like I said, I've talked about Suicide Squad in this video, but so far it's been very divisive, ranging from poor to, in my opinion, just good, not great. I think DC has been both blessed and cursed with Christopher Nolan. Obviously, The Dark Knight was a masterpiece, a wonderful piece of cinema that stands as, in my opinion, the best comic book movie of all time and one of the best movies of all time. And so, yeah, in many ways, it feels like DC Warner Brothers have been kind of in the shadow of The Dark Knight since 2008. They haven't quite been able to match that. But now they're going a different route. They are, trying to do kind of what Marvel has done, and build their own universe of films. Um, a bit late in the game, so they've been very. I would describe it so far as DC's world building has been pretty rushed. Um, Man of Steel, perfectly fine way to start the universe. Superman movie, standalone movie, but then following that up with, oh, we're gonna have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all in the same movie, and it's going to be kind of like The Dark Knight Returns, but we're also going to throw in the death of Superman. Just cramming a lot of plot lines into one movie in an effort to just jumpstart this universe. And then even like Suicide Squad, I would say it would have been enhanced if we had had a Batman solo movie before that, just so we can like get more time with these characters and just have more like I guess care more for what happens to them. But that being said, I'm positive about the future of DC films. I definitely think that Warner Brothers has definitely heard the criticism of their films so far and is trying really hard to change, to course correct. So both the Wonder Woman and Justice League trailers had, I would say, a lighter tone than Batman v Superman. Wonder Woman looks really awesome. It does kind of draw comparisons to like the first Captain America movie because I mean they're both like warriors in a world war, obviously different world wars. Don't worry, I'm actually a history minor, so I'm not gonna be like, oh, what's the difference? But but still, like they're both very similar in that respect that they both take place like a long time before the cinematic universe proper, just to show the backstory of these characters. But I think it looks really cool. The Amazonians look badass. They look like they're gonna be kicking some serious ass. We still don't know who the villain is. My money's on Ares. Still, I'm very excited for it. Chris Pine looks cool in the movie. I've enjoyed him in the Star Trek reboots. I would say he's one of the better aspects of those films. But yeah, I'm excited for Wonder Woman. There's not a whole lot to say besides that. We saw Wonder Woman kicking some butt in World War One, and that was about it. Not really many hints at what the plot is, but that's good. That's good. I like to go into a movie pretty fresh. Um, Justice League, definitely they showed this. I imagine if Batman v Superman had come out and nobody said anything about the tone of the film, we would not have gotten this Justice League sizzle reel, I guess. It's not really a trailer proper, it's just kind of footage of select scenes. I mean, that's kind of the definition of a trailer, right? But no, I mean, it's not really a trailer in the respect that we don't see, like, the big, like, a big action sequence or a big snippet of an action sequence because they're like only like a month into filming, so it's a wonder that they got any of the special effects for Cyborg or the Flash done in time for Comic Con. But yeah, essentially this is just showing Bruce Wayne going around and recruiting people for the Justice League, and it looks good. I like this. I'm liking what I'm seeing of this a lot more than what I saw in Batman v Superman. And I'm sorry if it's bugging you that I keep drawing on Batman v Superman, but if we're talking about this universe of films, then we also have to talk about one of its low points in comparison. So yeah, definitely. Like I said with Suicide Squad, I love seeing Ezra Miller's Flash. I'm really excited to see what he does with the character. I used to be a big fan of the CW Flash show, but this second season the past seasons for the CW Flash shows kind of just, or not the CW Flash shows, sorry, I'm getting a little tired, I guess. The CW DC superhero shows have kind of lost my interest. They're just, I don't know. But like Flash in that shows, he's always mopey or dealing with something, and he's never happy. He's never like the smart, like quirky, weird, like just like shooting his mouth off kind of Flash that I like. Personally, when I think of Flash, my favorite version of the Flash has been in the Justice League animated show. Obviously, that Flash is Wally West, but still, like, just a Flash that's fun. He's supposed to be kind of like the heart of the Justice League in many things, in many animation, in much animation, and many comic stories. The Flash is he's kind of like he's the heart of the team. He's the one that is most likely to diffuse the situation, to diffuse a tense situation. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited by what Ezra Miller looks to be doing with the character. He looks fun. I loved my favorite thing from this video was was that whole interaction between Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen with him throwing the batarang and then everything just going really slow and the blue lightning and just like and you can just like visibly see on Barry's face like he's looking at the batarang. He's like, what? And then he's like, oh, he's Batman. And then like he's a bit starstruck because it's Batman. He's kind of having the reaction that like we would have if we saw Batman. So I love that whole interaction. And then like he's Bruce Wayne's like he's gonna do like the whole pitch thing like he did with Aquaman, like there's an enemy coming and I'm assembling a team, but then like Barry cuts him off and it's just like, I'm in, whatever it is, I'm in, because like you're Batman and I need friends. And so yeah, I love that. Yeah, so I'm really excited for Justice League. I think that the tone looks to be right. It looks to be a good course correction from Batman v Superman. And yeah, it just looks like it's going to be a pretty good movie. Obviously, we've only seen like what that was like 3 minutes of what is sure to be a 2.5 hour long film. So obviously, things could change. It could take a real nosedive outside of those moments. So, but I have my hopes up. I feel that DC Warner Brothers has taken note of the criticism that they've received and is going to try and do better. Which that's all we can ask for is for them to do better, to try and improve. So yeah, that is about all that I have to say about the trailers. Tying this back to Suicide Squad, we got a bit of Justice League setup in Suicide Squad with that mid-credit scene with Bruce Wayne talking to Amanda Waller, which it was really cool to see those two characters interact. Some people have brought up like logic issues with that scene, like why does Batman need intel from Amanda Waller if he has Lex Luthor's information on the Justice League or the future Justice League members? So yeah, that I was still a little bit like a little weird on. I was like, yeah, come to think of it, why does Bruce Wayne need more intel? Maybe Lex Luthor only had like that shitty surveillance footage or something, and he didn't actually know the names, or I don't know. So there's any number of reasons, but it was cool to see these two characters interact. Amanda Waller, who in Suicide Squad proved herself to be quite the badass chick, and obviously talking to Bruce Wayne, who's I'm still a fan of Ben Affleck's Batman. I know I brought up the critique earlier in the video with Batman murdering people in Batman v Superman, but with that aside, I do like Ben Affleck's Batman. I thought he was a great presence. He looked great in the role of the costume. I love that costume. So yeah, definitely excited for where DC is going in the future. So that wraps it up for this DC Comics special. Thank you guys for watching. This is Jerk Vet, signing out.